It's Cooking with Chef Boyhardee.
Welcome everyone, I'm so honored that you are here today for the first ever episode of Cooking with Chef Boyhardee. Today we're going to be doing a Mexican inspired chicken breast that'll be used for multiple different recipes later on, but for today we're just going to work on the marinade and how to cook it properly. Mwah! Very tender, very delicious. Now I'm super excited to show you this recipe because it's one of my favorites, but first, tequila. Salud. That's smooth. Come on. The recipe is super simple. We'll have a tablespoon of cumin or jeera, tablespoon of paprika, a half a tablespoon of onion salt mixed with a tablespoon of garlic powder, a tablespoon of garam masala, a teaspoon of crushed chili flakes, and of course a teaspoon of black pepper. Oop, that tequila's for me. Muy delicioso. Now there's three key steps that you want to know about when it comes to tenderizing your meat and making sure you get the most flavor. First is tenderizing your meat. 2 is marinating. And finally 3 is your style of cooking. One word of caution whenever dealing with chicken, especially uncooked meats, you want to make sure to keep your hands nice and clean. Always recommend keeping a nice hand soap close by and make sure you're washing your hands frequently whenever you're touching the raw meat itself. You can never be too careful. Now when tenderizing the meat, what I like to do is I place it down onto a cutting board, throw a little bit of oil down just so you're not sticking, and then cover the meat with a parchment paper or saran wrap. Now if you don't have a meat tenderizer or a meat mallet, you can always use a rolling pin just to roll out the meat. You can also always use like a can of tomatoes. You can always use a rolling pin, which is what I'll be using today. And basically just trying to even out and basically keep the consistency or the thickness of the meat all the same. Now prior to baking the chicken at 425 degrees for 20 minutes, we're going to pan sear the chicken on either side just to lock in all those juices and make sure you get a nice tender chicken breast. Alright, now we've let the chicken sit and rest for at least an hour, and I gotta tell you, it smells amazing. All those aromas and spices mixing with the meat, it's gonna create a delicious aroma and a delicious chicken breast. Now, one of the keys to cooking a delicious chicken breast, and this is something I recently found out, is to make sure to cook it at a high temperature, which was something I never knew before. I would always cook at a low to medium heat, and I would be constantly flipping, waiting for the chicken to cook, and then what I was actually doing was drying out the chicken. So there's no juices left, no flavors, just something to chew on. If you're gonna be doing that, you might as well have a steak. The beauty of this chicken is you only flip once, and that's when you're searing it. But when you bake it, cook it at high temperatures, 425, for 20 minutes, and you will have a delicious, juicy chicken breast. Before you begin any cooking, preheat your oven to 425 degrees and also turn your pan on to medium heat. Now any meat lover knows that one of the best tools or utensils when it comes to cooking meat is a cast iron pan. But if you don't have that available, a non-stick will do. Now we're not trying to cook the meat, we're simply trying to sear off the edges and create a nice dark brown crust on the chicken breast. This will allow for the juices to not escape or evaporate while we're baking the chicken breast. Now once you've removed the chicken from the oven, there's plenty of things you can do with it. You can have it as is with some rice and salad. Super easy, super simple dinner. And another option is you can actually pull the chicken and use it as a topping for, let's say, pizza, tacos, or just sprinkle it on top of your salad. Great lunch for the next day. Be sure to let it sit for 10 minutes before you do anything with it, just to let all the juices settle. Mwah.